Hey guys, what's going on? Thought I'd make a video about the turbo chainsaw and kind of talk about what I'm doing and kind of what's been going on with it. So I did get it starting better with a new coil. We're definitely got some challenges to overcome. So right now I'm put a boost pressure gauge on it. Of course, this is not under load. I just wanted to see if it would build any boost pressure with a bar and a chain on it, with the chain tightened down. And the chain is tight, so it would at least load the saw up a little bit. And I saw about a pound or so on the boost gauge on the charge pipe side. Now I have got the boost gauge on the drive pressure side in the EGT bung to see what the drive pressure is between the exhaust port and the turbo itself. Because I talked to some people that are much smarter than me about this idea, and kind of what I got from it was, so I mean, there are turbo two-stroke snowmobiles, so I know that it is possible. Of course, there's a lot more technology in something like that. But from what I took from that conversation was that your drive pressure cannot be more than the boost pressure coming into the motor, because it's just going to fight it. So, and I have a feeling after the little bit that I have ran this thing is that right now is probably my biggest issue, because it seems to me, I mean, the turbo is, I mean, it's spinning it hard, but just the way it just acts like it can't get the exhaust out. And the exhaust housing on this turbo is very small. Like, I mean, it pinches down to about a 5/8 inch opening before it goes down around to spin the exhaust turbine. And it's incredible how much exhaust is produced out of a two-stroke engine. I mean, it's a lot more than a four-stroke. So, I mean, I can't go and buy a different exhaust housing for this turbo. That just isn't possible, but there's not an option for that. There is another turbo that I could put on here that I think is probably going to be what I'm going to end up doing. So right now I have no reed valve, which is another thing that I really think that needs to be done. I think this thing needs a reed. The fueling, so I did make some pretty drastic modifications to this carburetor today, and it's still, I mean, like, significant. So basically, before I had this thing, before I modified the carburetor without the charge pipe on here, I could get it to rev up quite a bit. After modifying the carburetor to flow more fuel, I can actually have the high jet screwed all the way in without the charge pipe on it, and it will not rev past 10,000 RPM. So it's definitely flowing more fuel. Another concern is that maybe there's just not enough fuel still. But yeah, we definitely have, I mean, I never expected this thing to just bolt on here and it just work fabulous. But, and when it comes to the nitrous, I don't want to put nitrous on this thing as like a Band-Aid, because I feel like if the saw can't even rev up without nitrous, then that's just adding a whole nother, you know, problem you have to solve into the mix. So, see, I've got a boost pressure gauge coming off of the header down in there, right there. And so let me fire this thing up so you guys can kind of see what it's doing, and then we'll talk about kind of my next step. I do have another cylinder here that I'm going to go ahead and start modifying for a reed. And I'm going to get rid of the intake boot completely, because that's just a boost leak waiting to happen, in my opinion. I want the carburetor hard mounted with a good solid surface and a gasket. That way we do not have to worry about the intake boot. And so I'm just going to weld around this intake here, and get it built up a little bit, and then I'll weld an aluminum block onto there, and of course open it up and put like a 4-bolt, or I'm sorry, put our 2-bolt pattern into it, and then we can just put some studs in there, and I'll just cut a hole in here. I haven't looked at that very close, either cut a hole in it or just cut the whole top of it off. Hell, I don't, whatever it takes to make it work. But yeah, let me fire it up so you guys can see kind of how it acts, and then we'll talk more. One other thing, sorry about all the goddamn sniffles. My allergies have been killing me for like a month, so yeah, sorry about that. Just bent my fingernail back like a motherfucker. She's still spinning. Just stop. I'm sure she's warm. Well, I bet she's a hot son of a bitch. Oh, I got a temp gun. Let's see what it is. There ain't no way. 73 on the floor, that's right. 210. Shit, that's not even that hot. 260 on the exhaust housing. This is Fahrenheit. $200 degrees on the cylinder. After I find a glove. So here's our spark plug after running it just then. Pretty white. I mean, there's that one dark spot, but It's just a standard BPM 7A. I did try a colder plug. It didn't make any difference. I haven't gone hotter. I don't think you'd want to go hotter, but who knows? Let's see if we can get it to refire. So let's back up here so I can get. So I really think the next step, I don't want to give up on this turbo because there's a lot of work involved getting this on here. Because I mean, if I go to a different turbo, I'll have to rebuild the header and at least part of this pipe here. But I think a reed is absolutely a must. Because I have a feeling there's enough drive pressure on the exhaust side of this cylinder that it's actually pushing a lot of this fuel mixture back out of the intake. So if we can capture the fuel in there, you know, I think we would have a better chance at success and at least eliminate that out of the equation. But yeah, that's probably going to be my next step, because there's a massive amount of fuel going through here now. I do have a snowmobile fuel pump that we could put on here to make sure that it's just not sucking the line dry. But I just feel like it's pushing a lot of the fuel back into the intake. That was 12.5. That was as high as I've ever got it to rev. And I had the high jet screwed out so far, it fell out. So yes, I think we need to put a reed on it. So I think my next step really should be a reed. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm already got a plan for that. And oh, another thing, I want to thank all of the new subscribers to the channel. It's fun seeing, you know, people interested in chainsaws and this build and I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate that. Kind of gives you a little bit more drive to, you know, do more stuff. And really, I really think I would prefer this to just not have nitrous on it at all, to be quite honest. Because I think it's possible. If the turbo is small enough, if this turbo itself works, I don't think it's going to need nitrous. Now, if we go up to the next size up that I'm thinking that we might have to go, depending on what the drive pressure does, once we actually get a load on the saw, then we'll kind of determine what direction we need to go there. But like I said, this cylinder here, same exact cross cylinder, $14 cylinder, which they're not the greatest. Don't get me wrong. But I will tell you, the plating, this saw here has ran, I mean, it's been running lean and hot and every time I've ran it, and the cylinder itself is fine. The piston's fine, but I'm sure, you know, the piston would go before the cylinder on this, I can almost guarantee you, because this plating is actually pretty darn good. This is ported identical to that one. It's just a spitting image of that one. So we're just going to modify, I'm going to weld, build this up right here with weld and stay away from the wall here so we don't warp the cylinder. And then once I get a decent amount of weld built up here, I'm going to weld an aluminum block onto here, and then, you know, might put a piece of resin or something in between that and the carburetor, kind of as a little buffer, but maybe not. But yeah, that's my plan. At least that's the direction I feel like I need to go. Could be completely wrong because, I mean, I'm fucking guessing. So, yeah, I mean, everything functions. It's just getting it all to mesh together. So so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I really think the next step is to put a reed on this saw, because that would eliminate at least one potential problem, because I really feel like the drive pressure is high enough on the exhaust side that it's kind of back feeding it and just pushing, it's just pushing that, the fuel that we do have right back out of the intake. And another reason why I think that is because, well, it's pretty wet with fuel on the intake side, even all the way up to the silicone boot. So honestly, even just getting it to rev to 12.5, 13,000, I think is at least a win. Because that turbo's, that thing's humming. I mean, it's definitely pushing air. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.